Hey everyone, this is Scott from Forgot to Girl. Welcome to our latest Getting Scott Headed, our video series where I rant about a different movie, TV, entertainment, or pop culture related topic. Today I'm going to be ranting about why Netflix should copy Amazon's Prime Video store. So for those of you who don't know, Amazon's Prime Video store is just pretty much iTunes or Google Play, but on Amazon. So it allows you to buy or rent new movies, new and old movies alike. And so this feature has been available on Amazon Prime Video in the US, in the UK, in Germany, and Japan as well, I believe. But it was announced this week that they'll be releasing this feature in Canada as well. And this sparked this kind of reminded me of this video that I've been kind of meaning to make, which is about why Netflix should add a feature like this, and so it made sense that this title would add up. So why Netflix should copy Amazon's Prime Video store, which is adding the feature of being able to buy and rent movies on Netflix. So the reason I think that they should add this feature is, there's a few reasons I think that they should add this feature, but one of the biggest reasons is more money. Like Netflix is one big thing, is that the only way they make more money is by having more subscribers subscribing every month and having to make sure that they maintain that huge customer base every month and keep growing it, because that's the only way they can get more revenue at the moment. That's their primary way. There are other ways through data and some merchandise and et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, through Netflix itself, the app itself, the only way they're making money is people subscribing to it. And so adding the feature of people being able to buy and rent new movies that aren't ones that Netflix has been able to been able to get contracts to stream or exclusive rights to stream on Netflix themselves. So adding the feature of a video store on Netflix's video store, if you would, or Netflix's Play Store, if you will, would allow them to then increase their revenue per customer and overall, because it would then give the option for people to buy and rent new movies. And I think Netflix is in a even better position than Amazon even in this realm, because they are already a place where people go to. They are the home of streaming in a sense. They're you Netflix and chill. You don't iTunes and chill. You don't Apple TV and chill. You don't Disney Plus and chill. It's Netflix and chill. And the fact that they have that kind of, they're the Kleenex of the streaming industry, that they have this huge base of people who are always on the app, people who solely use Netflix as their only streaming service. And so the reason with this big base, it allows having this new feature, or adding this new feature, which I think they should copy from the likes of Prime Video being the only other streaming service. Well, kind of, because Apple TV kind of does it, but it's still two separate apps with Apple. So you still have Apple TV, which you can see which movies are on iTunes for you to rent and buy, but then you go to a separate app to do that, which still works. But I think Netflix would be able to take a huge advantage of the fact that people are already on Netflix. They're binging Netflix. It's kind of a go-to place for people to watch things. It's their kind of go-to platform for streaming for a lot of people. For a large chunk of the world, they have the biggest streaming base of all the ones in the streaming war at the moment. So I think if they were to add this feature where people could watch a new movie, rent a new release on Netflix when it comes out, I think this would only benefit them. I think the fact that they are already in front of so many people's faces with their the fact that they're Netflix and already with everything they provide via their streaming, that adding the ability for people to to rent new movies or rent old movies or rent movies that are part of a collection that Netflix hasn't been able to get the full rights to. So Netflix has I think right now they have all the Harry Potters. But let's say they have all the Harry Potters, but not the new Fantastic Beasts. So this feature of being a video store feature where you could buy or rent the Fantastic Beasts would be great, because I think people who are willing to then binge the entire Harry Potter franchise are probably willing to spend the money, spend the $3 maybe to rent Fantastic Beasts 1 and Fantastic Beasts 2, so make $6 extra off somebody who spent the whole day streaming Harry Potter by having this feature, which these people could in a sense go to a different app, but Netflix doesn't want that. Netflix wants you to stay on their app. So I think adding this feature of a video store, copying the style in a sense of Prime Videos, the Prime Video store, I think would just only benefit Netflix. It would add more revenue stream. It would add I think it'd increase their kind of appeal to customers, because that's one thing I've had a resistance against when it comes to having an online digital collection of movies, because they come and go from streaming so often that you never know if it's worth buying this one on digital or not. Is it like, and because I've never been able to decide, do I want to have it all on iTunes, do I want to have it all on Google Play, and the fact that every DVD you get with a digital code will decide a different one. Apparently, I used to get Flickster all the way up till like last year when that closed down. So I think Netflix adding the ability for people to rent new movies and stuff, but also to collect movies on Netflix, collect digital movies on Netflix, would only benefit them, because Netflix is a place that a lot of us go to every day to watch those staples. They're famous for wanting to keep The Office and for wanting to keep Friends for as long as possible. So if they added this feature of being like, oh, you could buy all of Friends and have it on your Netflix, and you don't have to go subscribe now to a whole new streaming service because you just wanted one TV show that you can now binge watch with your other Netflix shows from just a one-time purchase, which then Netflix would get a cut of, because that's how online digital purchases work. Is that's how iTunes makes their money off of every digital every digital movie rental, is that they take like a 5-10% chunk of that of the price that you as an individual would pay to rent the movie, and they just make money off the fact that they are the one platform where most Apple users will go to rent a movie, and so they make money off the bulk of it, and the studios like it because they have a central place where they can put all their movies to be rented, so they don't have to maintain their own websites like that. It's pretty much they have online blockbusters. So iTunes is an online blockbuster. Netflix has been kind of one of the ones specifically that people are like look to as the fall of Blockbuster, because they took away the need for it. You can pay a monthly thing and have Netflix and stream all these ones, but adding then the feature to be able to rent new movies that they don't have available for streaming, I think is only a benefit that people would enjoy. I think the fact that you already have your credit card on with your Netflix account just makes it easy. Obviously you want to maybe add some kind of pins to it so that kids can't easily spend all their money. But these are problems that iTunes and Apple have already dealt with, and now Amazon has already encountered a little bit. So they could be like the Disney Plus of this, and kind of sneak in the back and be like, hey, okay, so yeah, up to now we've been the king of streaming, but we're also just going to be the king of online where you watch stuff. So this is the place you want to go now to keep your digital collections now, as opposed to having it on some on iTunes, some on Google Play. And most people are probably better at keeping them on one specific one or the other platform, but I just like this because I think this would open it up to people who aren't renting digital movies already on one of those other platforms, because they're maybe not as tech savvy. There are certain select individuals who make up the Netflix subscribers who were subscribed to it by their kids, and so those people, if they had the ability to then rent movies on Netflix itself by just putting in an extra PIN code when they select it, I think that would only benefit Netflix and only be a plus to people, because there is a certain thought of like there could be resistance. Everything on Netflix is free. You pay for it, you don't have to pay extra for things. But I think having it as an option of like, okay, there's Netflix and there's the Netflix store where you can buy stuff, but you can still have it all as one collection. I think it'd only be a benefit. I think the pros of it outweighs any kind of cons of people being like, oh, I don't have to pay for stuff. And it's like, well, no, you don't have to. This is a thing that already exists on other platforms. It's just, I think Netflix would benefit from adding the ability to do it themselves. So I always thought in the past that maybe they should team up with iTunes and get a chunk of that by directing people to iTunes, or having iTunes be able to play in Netflix, if that makes sense. Like having some kind of partnership, I've always thought was maybe the better route to go. But then seeing that Amazon's doing this, having having Prime Video streaming movies, and also offering Prime Video Store where you can buy and rent movies, and having them both running simultaneously and having seemingly no problem with it, and the fact that they're launching it now in another country just kind of proves that it seems to be successful in some way. So yeah, I think Netflix definitely should copy Amazon's Prime Video Store, add their own version of iTunes onto Netflix so that people can start buying and renting new movies that come out, as well as starting to collect on Netflix, collecting their digital movies on Netflix. So when you get maybe a digital code with a new DVD, if you're somebody who still buys DVDs and still does that, you could then all add to your Netflix, because there's chunks of people who fall on these things. Some people collect DVDs just to have as a collection. They don't necessarily even watch the DVDs. They'll watch the digital copies of it because they just have it kind of like a book, as a book, like the way some people collect books, because it's like, well, it's not practical to have a book collection unless you're planning to read those books all the time. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the end of this video, which is so thank you for joining me for this rant about why Netflix should copy Amazon Prime Video Store. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this. Do you think this is a smart idea? Do you think they should add this option? Would you take advantage if they were offering the ability to rent a new movie on Netflix? Would you watch a new movie release? Would you be willing to pay an extra $3 to rent it for the movie for the 24 hours, the same as you would on iTunes? Be sure to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Thanks again for joining me today. If you want more of my thoughts on the Amazon launching the Prime Video Store in Canada, I made a video about that as well, which I'll link here and in the comments and the description, all these fun places. But thanks again for joining me today. Subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and have a good one.